Look at me, king of consistency, back to back days of videos on the side channel. Should you get used to this? No, you shouldn't. It's just that I once again have something else that I want to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it. And last night, the Adventures in Game Chasing movie finally released. I got my digital copy of the movie. I watched it, and I have to say, I definitely have some thoughts about it. When it comes to, let me just be completely transparent and honest with you guys. I obviously know most of the cast from this. You know, the only people from the cast that I don't know are the actors that they actually, hired and stuff like that. Most of the cast I know. Most of the cast I've been with in a group chat since the inception of the movie, since this was being kicked around as an idea. And I feel like to some extent, like I helped with advice on certain things and stuff like that, like the filming process and, different sorts of gags and stuff like that. The name of the movie, that was a whole big fucking conversation in the group chat of what it should be called. And, while obviously I'm friends with these people, it's the process has taken, a little while. So during that process, I've become unfriends with these people. And I was like, I fucking hate you. You're a piece of shit. Don't talk to me. Typical brother stuff. We're all sort of kumbaya right now, though. So it makes for a good thing because the movie finally released. And, when it comes to YouTube movies and YouTubers making movies, they're usually not great. You have places like Channel Awesome who made movies. And I mean, for the time, I guess they were okay, but it didn't really feel like a traditional movie. You know what I'm saying? The AVGN movie, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Like, I understand what they were going for, but I think in retrospect, they probably would have done something a little bit more to make it so that if you didn't necessarily care about the source material, you could still enjoy the movie. Like, to me, you had to be a diehard AVGN fan to understand a lot of that stuff. Some of the plot stuff I didn't really like. It is what it is, but I just didn't feel like it was a movie that you could sit someone down who's never watched an AVGN episode and say, hey, what do you think about this? I don't think a lot of them would have enjoyed it. And I was kind of worried that this movie was going to be similar to that, relying too much on the game chasers themselves, the internet YouTube personalities, more so than actually making a movie. But Billy, he made a movie. He made a movie that you don't have to know who Billy, Jay, Chief, and Eric are to enjoy this movie. You can enjoy this movie strictly on the surface level as, a classic 80s style adventure movie where, people are hunting for a certain object and going through wacky obstacles. It's a lot of people thought it was going to be like, more of like an R-rated thing. No, it's like a PG. It's like a PG 80s movie where you could say things like ass and stuff and make like butt jokes and stuff without, getting like a PG-13 rating, which everything seems to get nowadays. So it definitely has that feel to it. I'm not going to spoil the story, but the basis of it is that Billy gets a NES from his grandfather, an NES, not a Nintendo Entertainment System. You gotta circumvent the legalities and stuff. But he gets an NES. He ends up like losing. His grandfather passes away. He ends up losing that NES, and then he wants it back. And so Billy and Jay, kind of more, I would say more so just being themselves. Not that they put like an act on their channel, but more so just being themselves, not having to worry about, doing all the game chaser references and stuff. They decide to go on this voyage, and Eric and Chief come along, who are ghost hunters, because Eric just got a car that they can all go in. And it's a really good advent. Like there's moments where I'm like, oh, that feels a lot like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I think that's actually a really good sort of parallel movie to this, because I don't even know if that was intentional or not, because I don't think Billy ever said to me, hey, it's kind of Pee-wee's Adventure-ish, but I think there's a lot of parallels to that in both the comedy and the quest itself and all the twists and turns that ends up happening. There's a scene that's very reminiscent of that film, with the car when, they're driving, Pee-wee's in the car with a convict and they're driving. There's a scene very reminiscent of that, but it's a really good movie. And I think they did a really good, considering the budget of this movie. You got to remember this movie's budget, all things considered, at the very most was under $250,000. And like the effects are really good. I think some of the effects are better than others, but considering, all that, considering the budget of this movie, they really did a good job. They did a good job containing it, but still having some cool special effects and still having some bigger scenes that made it feel like a bigger movie, The characters themselves are all very interesting. I really like some of the side characters as well. There's this one side character who has like long curly hair. He looks like a Hispanic guy, I believe he is. I really liked him. He has a lot of dry humor. And there's one scene in the movie where it's just absolutely hilarious what he does. That's like, just, it flies so under the radar that you don't expect it. And then when it happens, you're like, oh shit, that was actually pretty funny. As far as complaints are concerned, I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased towards it. There were a few things where I was like, oh, I might have done that differently. I might have not included that in the movie. I might have shortened that scene or something like that. But really, it's neither here nor there. For a first time movie, creating it by yourself and creating it, without a huge team of people and a really strict budget. I can't believe they pulled this off and made it feel like a movie. Like, I feel like this could be a movie that is potentially in theaters. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen or anything like that, but it feels like a film. It doesn't feel like a YouTuber making, a vanity project and making a movie because they want to make a movie. It actually feels like an actual movie that you would see, in theaters or on, a DVD of it, or God, I'm dating myself there, a Blu-ray or something like that. So, all things considered, you got to just say congratulations, because really, Adventures in Game Chasing is the best YouTuber, at least in this, video game community. It's by far the best YouTuber derived movie, by far, in terms of the script, in terms of the story itself, in terms of the gags, in terms of the special effects. Everything, to me, is a cut above what we've seen so far. And honestly, I feel like this is like the new, standard. It's the new standard for taking a YouTube creation. The Game Chasers are a YouTube creation, but still utilizing the notoriety attached to that, but making something that still feels different enough to where if you're a fan of them, you'll love it. But if you're not a fan of them, you could still love it. You could still have a laugh. You could still have a good time watching this movie. So fuck you guys, first and foremost. Fuck you straight to hell. But congratulations, because you did it. I think that you set out to make a film about finding an NES, and you did it, and it came out really fucking good. So yeah, check out the movie. Seriously, it's really good. I'll probably watch it again today because it's just an enjoyable film. The score is really good too, by the way. There's some really good tunes in there. Yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. Congrats, you motherfuckers. You did it.